Hello. My major disclaimer first is that I do not endorse this book or advocate the use of words of this book. I'm an atheist. I use this book as a weapon against itself. It's all evil, it's all lies. I'm capital N-O-T. I'm not a pastor. I'm an activist against this evil, despicable book. Now, get right into the material. So I got a lot to do. Be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Replenish the earth. Genesis 1:28. God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. He's talking like Adam and Eve. Those were the only two on earth in Genesis 1. Be fruitful and multiply with who? You didn't even have any kids yet. You make some kids, but what are the kids gonna do? Kids gonna fuck the other kids within their own family. Okay. Be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 9:1. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth. There's only 8 survivors of the flood, right? They're all family, next to kin. They're like brothers and sisters. I insist upon telling you, Be fruitful and multiply, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. What does your Jesus say? Matthew 5:27-30. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time. Now Jesus is saying in red print, you heard them say it of old time. That means Jesus is quoting the Old Testament. You shall not commit adultery, which is one of the 10 commandments, right? Okay. You shall not commit adultery, you know what I mean? But I say unto you that whosoever looketh unto a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery already with her in his heart. 5:28. If you look lustfully on a woman, you committed adultery in your heart. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out, cast it from thee. For it is better for one of thy members, it's more profitable that one of thy members should perish than the whole body be cast into hell. So I could be a one-eyed guy going to heaven, but if you're a two-eyed guy, you go to hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off. Hey, I was thinking about this lady, and hey, you fucking masturbating, cut off that right hand. For it is profitable that one of thy members should perish, and that the whole body should be cast into hell. Okay, Matthew 18:8. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off. Your hand or your foot offend thee. Hey, I'm jacking off. Oh no, I jacked off with my foot. Oh no, you got to cut off your right hand and cut off your right foot. For it is better for thee to enter into life halt and maimed, rather than having 2 hands and 2 feet and be cast in everlasting fire. It means one-armed, one-legged people go to heaven. The 2 arms, the 2 legs, they go to hell, right? Okay. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones. Oh. Okay. Mark 9:43. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. My hand offended me, cut it off. For it is better for thee to enter into life maimed and having 2 hands than rather having 2 hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched. It's better for you to cut off one of your hands or your foot if either one offend thee. Now, we'll go to 2 Samuel 11. Verse 2 onward. And it came to pass that in the eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. Okay, a woman's washing herself. He's looking lustfully at a woman. He has gouged out his right eye and cut off his right hand. He's looking lustfully at a woman. Cut off his right hand and his right foot. But he's looking lustfully at a woman. He's watching this woman bathe herself. And he's on top of a roof so he can get a good view at it. He sees it rubbing her titties, her vag, and her asshole with soap. And he's getting off on it. He's looking lustfully at a woman. David is. You know what? Was King David in the same family line of Jesus? Or was he a God spirit baby? Was he of the flesh, a mortal? Or was he of a God and immortal? If he was a mortal, then Jesus was a sinner too, because his descendant David is doing this shit where he's like fucking jacking off on a rooftop because he sees a naked lady. Okay. And David sent and inquired after the woman. He wanted to tell all his buddies, look after this woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? Uriah the Hittite is the husband of this woman that he's oogling, looking at ass and titties and her vag and shit. washing her asshole. He's watching her shower up. And he's looking lustfully at a woman. But what did your Jesus say in Matthew 5:27-30 and Matthew 18:8-9 and Mark 9:43-47? It says, don't look lustfully at a woman. You gotta go about your amputation stuff. Pluck out your right eye, cut off your right hand. You cut off your foot because you sinned by looking lustfully at a woman, which is adultery in your heart. But King David gets away with this shit. Let's go on. Verse 4 of 2 Samuel 11. And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her. But do not commit adultery. Don't look lustfully at a woman. But he was really fucking oogling eyes with this woman. And now the next verse, he gets to fuck her. King David. Same family line as your Jesus, right? Okay. For she was purified of her uncleanness. That means that her period was over. You can go in and on. God doesn't like fucking on the period. And the woman conceived and sent and told David, said, I am with child. And David sent Joab, saying, send Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. The husband of this woman that he just boinked. He just fucked his wife, and now he wants to meet up with the guy. Uriah the Hittite to go to David, and Uriah come unto him, and David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house and wash thy feet. Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. And he gives him a lot of fucking food, doesn't he? And that's just to slow him down. So, what goes on after this? Give you a mess of meat. That kind of knocked me out, man. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of the Lord and went down to his house. I told you that meat makes you sleepy. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David sent unto Uriah, camest thou not from the journey? Why then didst thou not go unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents. My lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in open fields. And that means they're all fucking homeless. It's either open fields or tents. And it seems like David's the only one who has a house. Why don't you come to my house? Why don't you come to my house? Sounds like David, a fucking filthy rich motherfucker. He's got a house. Okay. Now, and then go into my house and eat and drink and to lie with my wife. What? Wait, this guy wants to lie with his wife while he's gonna get sloppy seconds because David just fucked her, right? As thou livest, and ox thou liveth, I will not do this thing. And David said to Uriah, tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. That means get the fuck out of my house tomorrow. So Uriah abode to Jerusalem that day and to the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him. He made him drunk. And at the evening he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house. That means that this fucker's still not invited to the house. Everyone else sleeps in tents and open fields. Wow. It came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab, sent it to the hand of Uriah, and he wrote in the letter saying, set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. You know, if you put him right at the front lines of the fucking war, all the soldiers are lined up behind you. They put him first up front. You know, he's going to be smitten and die. David did that on purpose. He wanted the fucker to die because he was boinking on his wife, and he wanted this Uriah the Hittite's wife for his own. Well, I think he already claimed ownership, didn't he? What an evil bastard. First, he boinks his wife after masturbating on the rooftop and oogling eyes at her, and then he gets to fuck her. And then, once he gets to fuck her, he goes and talks to her husband. And they're all chummy and buddy for a while. And then all of a sudden, he turns 180 and says, I want this soldier, the very front of the battle. He'll get fucking killed. So we're in 2 Samuel 11, and it came to pass, It came to pass when Joab observed the city that he assigned Uriah into the place where he knew the valiant men were, and the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people, the servants of David. Some of the servants of David died. You know who else died? Uriah the Hittite, the husband of that bitch. He was ejaculating himself on the rooftop of the house, looking at her, bathing, and then he gets to fuck her, and he gets chummy with her husband, and then her husband's a warrior. He puts the warrior the front line of the battle on purpose, just to get him fucking killed, just so he can fucking take ownership of the Bathsheba bitch that he was jacking off to. So, a lot of chaotic shit's going on here. Because you're not supposed to commit adultery. Matthew 5:27. You look lustfully at a woman, 5:28. you already committed adultery in your heart. And then 29:30 says you got to gouge out your right eye and cut off your right hand. And Matthew 18:8-9 and Mark 9:43-47 says, not only that, your eye, your hand, but even your foot. You can be a one-eyed, one-handed, one-legged guy going to heaven. Or you're a two-eyed, two-handed, two-legged guy going to fucking hell. So King David did not gouge out his right eye or cut off his right hand. And he's a fucking whore. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, when thou hast made an end of the telling of the matters of the war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, he send unto thee, wherefore approached ye so nigh unto the city when ye did fight? Knew ye not that you would shoot from the wall? Who smote Abimelech, the son of Jerubbesheth? Did not the woman cast a millstone upon him from the wall? A woman cast a big fucking rock from a wall, and it killed that Abimelech guy. There's a cross reference to Judges 9:50-54. Why went nigh me to the wall, then say, thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So this woman that he boinked back there is a widow. She's a widow, but he still was like fucking boinking her while she was married, and he sent this guy who was the husband to the very front lines of the war so he would get killed. So then I get the Bathsheba bitch. That's what King David did. I get the Bathsheba bitch because I sent her husband at the very front lines of the war. So I was surely sure that he'd get killed. So the messenger went and came and showed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, surely the man prevailed against us and came out unto us in the field, and we were upon them even unto the entrance of the gate. And the shooters shot from the wall upon the servants. Some of the king's servants be dead. Thy servant, the Uriah the Hittite, he is dead. How many fucking times do they say that? I want to make sure you know he's dead. I want to make sure you know he's dead. And then I'm going to make sure you know he's dead. So you know you got the Bathsheba bitch. What? You know. Then David said unto the messenger, thou shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thou him. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the morning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. I didn't read anything about a marriage ceremony. Did they even bother getting married? I don't know. But God was pissed off. It displeased the Lord. He's still having sex with a woman out of wedlock. And he made that possible by killing her husband, like setting them on the front line of the war that he would die. Then I get my bitch. Boom, boom. You know what I mean? Damn right, I want that Bathsheba bitch. Because I want to be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 1:28. I want to be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 9:1. I want to be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 9:7. But then do not look lustfully at a woman. Matthew 5:29-30. But let me ask you a question. How can you be fruitful and multiply if you don't look at this woman with lust? I don't get a hard on unless I see some titties, see that vagina. Can I see the ass or the asshole or your vag, your fucking titties that you're washing up in the shower? That David was looking down at you, looking lustfully at a woman. Okay. Now, 2 Samuel chapter 12. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and came unto him, and said unto him, There were 2 men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save little even ewe lamb, which he had brought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him, with its children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and laid in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. There came a traveler unto the rich man, and spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was to come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was to come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. He said to Nathan, As the Lord liveth, the man that had done this thing shall surely die, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, because he had no pity. He has to pay back 4 times for whatever the fuck he did. And Nathan said to David, Thou art the man, thus saith the Lord God of Israel. I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives in thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel to Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord? Wherefore you had despised the commandments of the Lord, and you do evil in his sight. So here, there's our acknowledgement that David is evil. David is breaking commandments. and it's evil in the sight. Now, verse 10. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken thy wife of Uriah the Hittite. He's still pissed about that. You taking the life of that Uriah the Hittite, who was the husband of that bitch that you were fucking. King David. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thy own house, and I'll take thy wives before mine eyes. All his wives, he had 8 wives, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in broad daylight, in front of everybody. I want to make the rape public. All your 8 wives are going to be raped in the open field in the sight of all sun. Thus saith the Lord, I will rise up evil against thee in thine house, and I will take thy wives before mine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbors, and they shall lie with thy wives in the sight of the sun. For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel. So all of Israel saw this orgy of 10 wives or 8 wives raped. Right out in the open. David did this thing secretly. He thought maybe the Lord didn't see. The Lord saw, and he's, I'm displeased with you. You did fucking evil. Now to repay you, I'm gonna have all your neighbors gang rape all your wives in the sight of the sun, out in the open public, for all to see. Hi, Esther, yay. All right, I'm in 2 Samuel 12, wherever the fuck I am. Okay, going to 13. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. David was sinning a whole fucking lot. And all of a sudden, I'm going to take away the sin. You will not die. Why don't you just kill David? What the fuck? You'll find out what happens later. Why does he want to spare David all the time when he does so damage to everyone else's fucking life? Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme. The child also that is born to you shall surely die. But what about all the anti-abortionists out there? Like I watched an AIG video and they're talking about no, abortion's not in the Bible. Abortion's not in the Bible. Well, hey, this is kind of after the abortion because he waits for the child to be born. He's going to kill an infant baby out of the womb. It's going to live for 7 days, by the way. And Nathan departed from his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah the Hittite's wife bare unto David. And the child is very sick. David was still plugging away at this bitch, and she's still married to this fucking guy, but she's now a widow because David made this guy die, so he can keep on plugging away at this bitch. And he's still going about it, and God's really fucking pissed. And as soon as the baby's born, he strikes the baby with sickness. David therefore besought God for the child, and David fasted. David fasted during this time. He went and lay all night upon the earth. He just lay on the fucking ground. I don't care. And the elders of the house arose and went to him and raised him up from the earth. But he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. He was laying on the earth fasting. What, for 7 days, I would assume. And it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died. He's laying on the ground. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do this. I don't even want to get up. I'm going to lay down and I'm going to fast. And guess what? 7th day, the child that was born of the now widowed woman that King David made the husband die. So she can boink this bitch. She gives birth to a baby. The Lord strikes the baby. 7 days of sickness. The 7th day, the baby fucking died. For they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? They wanted to make it a secret that they're not going to tell him that the child's dead. He's still laying on the ground fasting. I don't want to tell him that the child's dead. Guess what happens after the child fucking dies? But when David saw that the servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto the servants, is the child dead? And they said, he is dead. Then David arose from the earth and washed and anointed himself and changed his apparel and came into the house of the Lord and worshiped the fucking Lord. He did a big turnaround. He decided to get up and freshen up, put on some new clothes. He's an upright dude right now. It's okay. Because I don't pray after death. What the fuck sense does it make to pray after death? So David said, oh, it's dead? No? Well, I can rise up and restore myself. Because there's no praying after death, right? He worshipped the Lord, and he ate bread before him. We did eat. And then said the servants unto them, what thing is this that thou hast done? Thou did fast and weep for the child while I was alive. But when the child was dead, thou did rise and eat bread. And he said, while the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, Who can tell whether God will be gracious to me that the child may live? He's gone through this ritualistic shit because he wants the child to live. That didn't work with God because he said on the seventh day, the child fucking dies. That's right, Esther. You, my lovely lady, Esther. I love you. African humanist there. Okay. Now, the baby fucking died. Now, I'm all upright citizen. I got clean clothes. I washed myself. Because what good does it do to pray after death? Nothing, because he's not praying or fasting anymore, right? And David comforted Bathsheba. He's still fucking plugging away at this bitch. I didn't read anything about them being married yet. They're still going about this fornication before marriage shit, aren't they? He's comforting Bathsheba. The bitch he stole from that husband, the husband that got killed, made her a widow. And he's still plugging away at the bitch. And he's hugging her and kissing her and saying, "Oh, it's okay, baby." And he went in onto her and lay with her. Oh, wow. That's why he was being so nice. Because he wanted to fuck again. That's why. And she bare a baby named Solomon. The Lord's going to let the Solomon guy live. And he's going to supposedly write some other books like in the Book of Wisdom and Sirach and Song of Solomon. And we need that guy. He's contributing to some of the, he might even write some of those Proverbs shit. Solomon means something. But the bitch, the fucking kid that was born of the bitch, Bathsheba, David and Bathsheba were fucking out of wedlock. That baby fucking died, right? Now, Solomon is fucking special. Now, Joab fought against Rabbah and the children of Ammon and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, "I have fought against Rabbah and have taken the city of the waters. Now, therefore, gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it. Unless I take the city and it be called after my name." The fucker wants to steal everything in the city and fucking destroy the city, and he wants the city to be his own, and he wants to put his name on the city. What a fucking asshole. Yeah, thanks for the input, Esther, African humanist. Thanks for reviewing. I got a lot more to do. A lot more. Now, for gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it. Unless I'm going to take the city and I'm going to name it after myself. David, yeah. And David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah and fought against it and took it. And he took their king's crown from. They killed everyone. They even killed the king. And they wanted to take the king's crown off his head and put it on David. And this crown weighed a fucking lot. The weight whereof was a talent of gold with the precious stones. And it was set on David's head, and he brought forth to spoil the city in great abundance. The king should not have very many riches. Deuteronomy 17:17. Google Deuteronomy 17:17. The king is not supposed to have a bunch of riches, and the king, not very many wives. He had 8 wives and 10 concubines now. Okay, we're in they went to the city, they killed everybody, and they stole everything, and they even killed the king and took the king's crown off of the king's head, put it on David, and David was to name that city David. And he brought forth the people that were therein and put them under saws and herds of iron. This fucking torture. He's cutting people's limbs off with saws, and he's putting them on these fucking iron instruments of death that stretch you out and make your fucking body explode. It would pluck out your arms and legs and shit like that, and under axles of iron, and made them pass through the brick kiln. They pass through the fire like going through a fucking iron kiln. You're going into an iron stove. You're gonna fucking burn up. I'm gonna fucking pluck your limbs off and burn you up. Thus he did unto the cities of the children of Ammon. You talking about fucking children? You're not just doing this to the adult people. You're fucking killing children too. We're going to go to chapter 13. Chapter 13, 2 Samuel. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister whose name was Tamar. Amnon, the son of David, loved her. Oh no. Brother and sister sex is coming up. I insist I tell you about it. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. And Amnon thought about it. My sister is a virgin. What am I going to do about it? I thought about it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, and Jonadab is a very subtle man. He said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. My brother's sister. And Jonadab said unto them, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto them, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I might see it and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, Tamar, my sister, come and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I might eat at her hand. Then David sent him to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house, and dress him some meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, and made cakes in the sight, and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan and poured from them out before him. He refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. He wants all the men out of the room. And they went out, and every man from him. And Amnon said to Tamar, Bring the meat into thy chamber, that I may eat of thy hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber, Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her, and he came in unto her. He wanted to fuck his own sister, and he's saying, Oh, I'm sick, I need cakes, Come here, bitch. That's what he did. He's playing sick, like, bring me some food, some meat, some bread. Hey, bitch, come here. Pop, pop, pop. He fucking raped his sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not do this folly. Do not force me to do it. Do not do this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? There's a shame to go. There's a shame. You're fucking your brother. And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now, for I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but he, being stronger than her, forced her to lay with her. He forced the lay on her. This guy's an asshole. He's fucking. His sister's saying no, actually. And he just, hey, because I'm stronger than you, I'm gonna. He's gonna fucking do it anyways. Oh, that's the morals of the Bible. You could force rape your sister. Where did we leave off? You could force rape your sister. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, that the hatred whereof he hated her was greater than the love whereof he had loved her. Well, I guess he loved to fuck her, but then once he got to fuck her, now he hates her. Yeah, it sounds like a typical male in the fucking Bible, right? Hey, I just wanted to get a fucking fuck. And that's it, bitch. Get out of here. I hate you now. Amnon said unto her, Arise and be gone. And she said unto them, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the others that thou didst unto me. You telling me to get the fuck out of here is worse than what you did to me before. But he would not hearken unto her. He didn't listen to her. I want you to leave anyways, bitch. How nice. That's biblical morality right there. Once I got to fuck my sister, that was great and all, but then after a while I kind of fucking hated her. And I wanted the bitch to get the fuck out of here. And she still didn't listen to me. Then he called his servants that were ministering unto him and said, "Put now this woman out from me," and bolt the door after her. They had to lock her out. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for with such robes were the king's daughter that were virgin's apparel. I mean, she's no longer a virgin anymore. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put the ashes on her head and rent her garments of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying. I'm gonna put dust on my head, I'm gonna rend my garments, and face palm. That's what you need, a face palm. And I'm fucking crying. Okay. Verse 20 of 13 to Samuel. And Absalom, her brother, said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister. He is my brother, regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. King David is fucking pissed about this shit. Yeah, I don't blame him. And Absalom spoke unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad, for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar into having sex. And it came to pass after 2 full years, Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hazor, which is besides Ephraim, and Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold, now thy servants have sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go to thy servants. And the king said unto Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then Absalom, if not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto them, Why should he go with thee? And Absalom pressed him that he let Amnon and the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded servants, saying, Mark ye now, when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, and when I say unto you, smite Ammon, you gotta get him drunk with wine first. Then smite Ammon. And then kill him. Fear not, have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. Now, Ammon, wasn't he the one? Yeah, vengeance. Ammon was the one who fucked his own sister. That's why they wanted to film him. Hey, that's a fucking good thing, ain't it? And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him upon his mule and fled. And it came to pass while they were in the way that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons. There is not one of them left. This guy was killing all your fucking sons. There's not even one left. Then the king arose and tore his garments and lay upon the earth. All his servants stood by with their clothes rent. What they do, they just rip their clothes and lay on the earth and do nothing, right? And Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men of the king's sons, for Amnon only is dead, for by the appointment of Absalom has been determined from that day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now they say only Ammon's dead. A couple of verses before they said all of them are dead. Now they say only Ammon is dead. And that's stupid shit, ain't it? Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all day all the king's sons are dead, for Ammon is the only one dead. But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked. And behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's son come. And thy servant said, So it is. And it came to pass as soon as he had made an end of the speaking, that behold, the king's son came and lifted up their voice and wept, and the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Amminadab, the king of Geshur, and David mourned for his sons every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and there was 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Ammon, seeing he was dead. Throughout the whole chapter, they said, Well, I'm glad Ammon's dead. I'm glad Ammon's dead. And now we're at chapter 14. And am I too tired to go on? Two Samuel 16, 21 to 22. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go into thy father's concubines, which he had left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. He went in unto all the concubines of David, which was 10, and all the sight of Israel, a gangbang that was publicly seen. Now, King David was really pissed about this. What did he do? 2 Samuel 20, verse 3. And David came to the house of Jerusalem. And the king took the 10 women, his concubines, who he had left to keep the house, and put them in a ward and fed them, but went not in unto them. I'm going to keep you in this house. You're going to do housework for the rest of your life, and I'm not going to fuck you. The end. Now, are you going to dump your religion? How about you're going to dump your religion?